It's still thinking. All right. Hey, and welcome to our latest broadcast of Not Right with Joyce, Nance, and Paul
But Paul,
Richardson's.
yeah, that's right. I thought you were Joyce the Hammer Nance.
Oh, I'm Joyce the Hammer Nance. That's right.
That
So
makes me Paul the Nail Richardson. Because to a hammer, everything is a nail.
that is true.
Yeah.
What do you got, Neil?
You know, I'm wondering about these polls that say everything is so tightened up
Uh
that I don't really believe them. And one of the reasons is I've noticed that they everybody, and I don't care who you listen to, and they'll say, and this race is it's at 3%, and that's within the margin of error. Well, the margin of error is gone to almost 4.5%.
Okay, so
And
I would say, yeah, anything within 50% is within the margin of error.
yeah, it's like, well, think of it this way. They're saying, oh, you hear this, oh, this race is virtually tied.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it could be virtually tied, or if it's a 4.5% margin of error, it might be as spread as it might be almost 9 points difference, right? Which
Yeah,
is what
well,
which
see,
was what some of these races used to be.
I feel like whoever is calling these polls is helping set up the Republicans for when they lose, or if they lose, that, oh, okay, the poll said it was tied, and now I lose
Right.
30 points.
Yeah,
That's not,
I totally I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing, that this is to help them complain that, oh, what, Trump was winning when I went to bed, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many
right.
times did you hear that? And now it's, oh, this was tied, and now it's now we lost by, it's, yeah, well, that's that we're going to hear that. But
Mhm.
I don't know how things, I don't believe that people change that much. And if you do, what kind of an idiot are you that all of a sudden, oh, there's all this crime? I mean, I can understand you saying there's all this crime if you, in the meantime, you were mugged, and you particularly think, oh, yeah, there's a lot of crime because I just got hit. But I honestly don't even believe that anybody has experienced any additional crime, or there's no noticeable difference. I,
Except in school shootings, which
well,
which
yeah,
is
of
not
course.
funny, but I mean that's crime directly related to the Republican stance on
Yeah,
guns.
that's crime directly related to them.
Hmm.
And
So,
um,
and that is really almost the most horrific possible kind of crime, in that you can't even send your kids to school and expect them to be safe from gunfire.
no, because what we should be doing is hardening schools. I mean, this is what you hear this. Uh, Parents want to go back to the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So all of the extra money that we need to put into schools should go towards hardening the schools, because the best way to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic is in in a lockdown place with metal doors. And I mean, I don't. Is this the way they're going to spend the money? This is just,
Well, the guy yesterday, they had some kind of locks. They barricaded. They did everything possible. And guess what? He had an AR-15 and he shot right through it.
yeah, just
So,
like the guy at Uvalde. He just shot through the door and hit the cops, right?
well, I mean, not only that, I mean, even if they did make the door nuclear proof, right next to it is, some drywall that
Yeah,
is basically
true.
cardboard.
Really, it's like everything is supposed to be hardened steel.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wonder is that they say, yeah, there's one door, one in, one door to go in and out. I'm like, how long do you want it to take for the kids to get into school?
Uh,
Like, I mean, people bitch about how, oh, I was in the line at the airport for 2 hours. Okay, well, do you want every day at school to be 2 hours getting in and out?
Well,
I
but
mean,
not only that, if you want to get out, there has to be, an easy way out too. So, I mean, yesterday they were jumping out windows. I don't know what floor they were on when they were jumping out, but I guess they probably didn't care. Um, but You know, it's ridiculous.
It's
And I
and then
want
we
to get
look at
back to the polls, though. I do want to get back to the polls
yes, yeah,
because um, in the 2020 election, the very famous 2020 election, uh, Trump he was leading when I went to sleep, and were other Republicans that it was supposed to be a close race, or they were supposed to lose, or whatever. And I was gonna be bummed out, to say the least. But what I did is I looked on the New York Times, which was running a live predictions based on, I think it was somewhat based on polls, but I think more on exit polls than
yeah.
these kind of polls that are ahead of time. And they were predicting the entire time, the entire length of that day and the next day and whatever, that Biden was winning. And by what percentage? And they were right.
Yeah. Well, I think the exit polls are more accurate because those are people who actually voted. They
Right.
just voted and they know what they voted for. The other thing is I don't understand this part. If we're seeing already that early voting has exceeded the 2018 midterms and it's already exceeded the 2020 election, presidential election, and in which both Democrats won both elections, how do they project that Democrats are not going to do well?
I would say that they're just wishful thinking because they know that there's more registered Democrats than Republicans, and they're more educated, they're more likely to vote, especially with the Trump threat in there. Trump just makes more Democrats vote against him. People go to vote against him, and then they'll down ballot vote against Republicans.
Well, think of it this way. Trump has never won an election. He's never really won an election.
No.
He never won the first election. He was installed by the electoral process. He lost the second election by twice as much as he lost the first one in the popular vote. And Democrats won, at least in the Senate. They won in the same proportions in 2018 or in 2020 that they did in 2018. And if they continue to win in the same proportion this year in the Senate, then the Democrats should go up too. It should be 52-48. If they win, maybe even 53. I can't possibly imagine. Here's the other thing I can't imagine about these polls in Georgia, and especially about the black vote. You have two black men running against each other. One, the best representation of
humankind.
Of human, yeah. And the other, the worst representation, certainly of a black man. I mean, he's everything that white people stereotype blacks as, you know. So how is it that it's even close? It's not like there's no choices here. They're both hogging the middle. No, you have Reverend Raphael Warnock, who's a brilliant man, a brilliant orator, brilliant theologian, and a scholar, and he's running against someone who I don't want to bother calling him a moron or an idiot. He's mentally ill and mentally deficient, and he is.
I think that one is just for news ratings. I really don't think that anybody expects the football player to win.
I think this just has to be propaganda and this is what, it kind of reminds me, the whole Republican and actually the news thing, it kind of reminds me of the Alex Jones response to his $1 billion judgment in his defamation case. And he's on air going, they'll never get a dime out of me. You'll never get it. Except he's quaking in his underwear. He's peeing his pants, knowing that he's not going to even just the compensatory judgment alone is almost $1 billion, and punitive damages are yet to come. And maybe it's just such a people. I've heard people say, "Oh, it's just such a laugh that nobody could, $1 billion." But if he's worth 240, I don't know how much he's worth, 240 million. I don't know what he's worth, but he's going to be bankrupt, and he should be bankrupt. It should be a judgment that is sufficient to make sure that he cannot repeat what he just did, as the judgment was being handed down, was continue to defame the families. So I hope the punitive damages, and there is no limit on those apparently in Connecticut, are very, very steep. And that he will just have to. I think he should be at the point where he can have a subsistence living on the street, maybe.
Well, that he will do better than that, I promise you, because he's a celebrity. So there's a lot of celebrity bootlickers out there.
Yes, that's right. Because he's a well-known drunk. He's a celebrity drunk and horrible person. That by the way, did I defame him just now?
He's a horrible person, but I mean, there's so many horrible persons in these races, like Dr. Oz and Carrie Lake, and I can't even remember all of them, but Ron DeSantis.
Didn't Carrie Lake used to be a Green Party person?
Oh, she used to. The cinema started as a Green Party person.
Yeah, I mean, so did Jill
Stein.
The
breeding ground for crazy people?
Well, yeah, absolutely. As the Green Party is absolutely the Democrat Party hating. They are the ones where they infiltrate and say we're even more left than you are, but we hate you. Yeah, they're all nuts. Jill Stein was a complete nut. Kirsten Sinema is a complete nut.
Jill Stein was blamed for Hillary losing, which I'm in that camp. Yeah. Jill Stein and Gary, what's his face from New Mexico, just wasting votes. And they have a situation like that in Oregon coming up. Well, and
let us not forget about Ralph Nader.
I know, the beloved.
That was a Green Party bomb too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, but did he make somebody actually lose an election from him running? That's so long ago.
He had a significant number of votes in Florida. I don't remember. He had I think he got 4%, something like that.
I know, but was there a 4% difference in I don't remember who was.
Well, the difference in the Florida election was like 530 votes.
Oh,
when it was called for Bush, they said, "Oh, okay, Bush is winning now, 530 votes. That's it. Stop counting." But
so that was the hanging Chad race,
the 2000 election, yeah.
Oh, it was.
And then Ralph Nader was the spoiler in that one.
And that was the Green Party.
Yeah, he was green. He was running on the Green Party.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think the Green Party
was not the Green Party.
Totally bankrupt. Well, I mean, because Jill Stein said she was gonna create 20 million jobs just by converting over to from fossil fuels. 20 million jobs.
20 million jobs to fossil fuels.
No, to convert from fossil fuels to green energy. To create 20 million jobs, and that was going to be in her. I don't see how that's actually possible, but
how was she going to do it?
I didn't have a plan. She was just a talker. She's another barker. She's another barker, no plan, just barking out ideology and.
Oh, okay. So it was a chicken in every pot. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And there were actually people who came across, or supposedly liberals, like one that I debated on the Michael Medved show, Camille Paglia, a feminist, who's a complete idiot. And what she said when I was debating her is that she wanted to destroy the Democratic Party and rebuild it because nobody like Hillary Clinton is welcome in her Democratic Party. And I said, well, then nobody like you is welcome in mine. So why don't you just get one? Yeah. You're not don't call yourself a Democrat while we're talking on the Michael Medved right-wing Republican show, and you're saying that you want to destroy the Democratic Party. Don't give me that crap that you're a Democrat.
Oh, so she was a Trojan horse, or trying to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. I said, what you? I said, you're disgusting. You're a Trojan. That's exactly what I told her. I said, you're a Trojan horse on a right-wing show. Why are you even on this show? You're here to say you're a washed up celebrity professor feminist who says that, and now you're coming on right wing radio to say that you want to destroy the Democratic Party. Yeah, that was in 2017.
Wow. Okay.
But the polls, I just don't. I don't see how these. I don't see how they add up to. I just, it's confusing to me. I don't see that people. Here's the other thing that the debate between so and so, that's really moved the voters. I don't even think anybody watches these things.
Oh, you mean like Fetterman last night? I did not see it. I mean, I read about it quite a bit. But I don't get the big deal. I mean, they're willing to leave Grassley and Feinstein in office. He's way ahead of those two and probably a whole bunch more.
Oh yeah, you mean Chuck Grassley there? That Chuck Grassley there? what 60s Green Acres or something, like, was he on one of those? Yeah, well, Mr. Douglas, yeah. I mean, and he has a prominent position in the United States Senate. Well, that's a problem. I mean, I can't, between him and Herschel Walker, I can't see how anybody's going to be awake. I mean, I can't see Herschel Walker actually sitting through the briefest of Senate sessions. I mean, I really can't see him.
Yeah. But with Grassley, I do believe that I read that if the Republicans take it, he will be the president pro tem based on his super seniority.
Super seniority. He's given Strom Thurmond a run for his money, right?
I think he might have already passed it, or he will. I don't know, but
he's not. Strom was 93, I think, when he finally passed. Yeah, but
I mean, I think length and time.
Yeah, in the Senate, he might be the longest serving.
The other one, yeah.
Well, it's just, but I think that the consensus in this group is that it's a media setup, and I'm disappointed to note that much of the media that I thought was kind of more reliable is kind of playing along with this. And when I hear anybody like Alex Wagner on MSNBC saying, and that's within the margin of error, and nobody, I don't know that anybody. So just as a matter of calculating fact, a 4.47 margin of error tells you that the sample size was 500 voters.
Well, I mean, and that's the other thing with the polls is the sample sizes are always ridiculously small. And not only that, if they do it on the phone, and I'm not sure how else they try to do it, I don't answer my phone if I don't know who it is. So,
well, that's 500. They can get that done probably pretty quickly, and yeah, I just don't see how, when you look at a state, I don't know, like Washington State or Michigan, when you have 500 voters, when you have the body politic is 4.5 million registered voters who are planning to vote. I just don't see how 500. It just doesn't work. 500 might be enough, and that's still, by the way, it's still a 4.5%, 4.4% margin of error if you take 500 and the total pool is 2,000. But that's more accurate. You can see that because of the way they calculate the margin of error, the margin of error is just 1 divided by the square root of the sample size. That gives you the decimal representation of the percentage. So I don't see that that's 500 people. It's just not enough. And like I said, what it tells you is that the race could either be tied or it could be 9 points apart.
Yeah, I don't think the polls are indicative of anything anymore.
And
There's
then we keep hearing, oh, the same people, because you hear the the same people who told you last time that the same pollsters were wrong, 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 and that's why. I mean, Trump loved to point that out.
uh-huh. Right, but I mean, it doesn't have to do with anything to do with the actuality unless you're polling, you know, a lot more people.
And then of course, we have the back in what was it, 52, the newspaper, the giant newspaper headline that said Dewey wins, right? Not so much. No, sorry, Dewey didn't win. Eisenhower
Well,
won.
yeah, they just, I don't
Or
think
it was, sorry, that was
they don't do that anymore.
48. Sorry, it was 1948.
Yeah, I don't think they do that anymore. They're more sophisticated with the county. They've got computers now.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I have to. The thing that's bothering me though about this election is, in a way, it just doesn't really matter what the outcome is, because I would like to pose the idea that fascism has never been defeated politically.
mhm.
So if they lose, if the Democrats win, especially if it doesn't matter, especially if they win narrowly, these fascists they're bound and determined. They're already intimidating people, having been armed, what drop box watchers and following people to their car and trying to intimidate people.
Uh-huh.
It's still going to.
Well, I mean, it's a mistake to think all of the fascist leaning people are in Republicans too.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, that you have to look at it this way. It was white women who voted for Donald Trump. Donald Trump was stalled into office by white women. 53% of white women,
uh-huh.
all right, which is astounding to me.
I don't think that happened last time though.
I don't know I didn't
But
hear
there,
about what the white
with
women
Hillary,
did.
there was just so much anti-Hillary that it was.
Well, it was a 10-year character assassination, because I can remember in 2006, 2007, Hillary Clinton was the most popular woman in America.
I know she was repeatedly, but when that was like as a person, but as a.
I mean, they knew that ultimately she was going to run for president, and well, she did. She ran against Obama, and he got the nomination, and they knew she was coming back, so they just set out to this character assassination. And I heard from family members that she's the biggest liar. Oh, I mean, and all people have to do is listen to and there's so much right-wing media that's all propaganda. The people just bite on this stuff. It's astonishing to me how, for instance, the Prop 3 in Michigan, which is going to enshrine a right to choice, abortion right to choice in the Michigan Constitution. People are saying, the right wing is out saying this is very confusing. There's misinformation in this, and then you start hearing people talk, friends of family members saying, "Oh, this is very misleading. And it's confusing." And I'm like, "What is confusing?" And they can't say, "Well, it's just the whole thing. It's just confusing."
What does it say? What is the amendment?
There's nothing confusing about it. That's their spoiler. They can't really say don't vote for it, so they're down to, oh, don't trust it. You don't know what this is going to do. And I'm thinking, what is confusing in here? That okay? And I was hearing, oh, this will be adjudicated to death in the courts. Well, any law can be adjudicated to death depending on who are the competing interests and what standing do they have.
Right, but look what Obamacare. I mean, they were just so crazed to get rid of that.
Yep.
They had the chance, and they didn't do it. It was
60 sometimes they voted, and that's why they killed John McCain.
Who
I mean,
killed?
people are saying, and we don't really know that the Republican Party didn't kill John McCain. A lot of
Oh,
people are saying that they might. A lot of people are saying they might have. That he didn't die of cancer. That he was actually murdered. You can't. We don't really know that he wasn't. Or at least I can't. I cannot sit here and confidently tell you that John McCain was not murdered by the Republican Party.
as we sit here today. Okay.
Yeah, as we sit here today, I personally cannot confidently tell you that he was not murdered by the Republicans. That's just something we can't say, or I can't say confidently. I mean, that's just to use a little Fox, right-wing Fox type style radio. But so the House tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act 61 times, and then they got it to the Senate when they finally got control of the Senate, and John McCain put thumbs down before he died. While he was in the hospital for cancer, or however he voted, thumbs down, we're not going to repeal the Affordable Care Act. That was the last, that's all they could do. And that's why they hate him.
Okay, yeah. Did they censor him after he was dead? I mean, this is like the Republican Party thing now. If you do not agree with them, they will censor you.
I mean, Trump kind of did. Trump did.
They just
Trump spoke ill of him after he died. Yeah,
spoke ill of him, but I was wondering if they officially censored him, like they officially censored Lisa Murkowski in Alaska because she voted to impeach Trump. It's like it's her job to make a decision. Just because you don't agree with her doesn't mean you have to.
Weren't there 3 or 5? Three. I think there were 3.
You mean senators? Well, there was Mitt Romney, her. Did Susan Collins do it?
Yeah, I think. But Mitt Romney, they didn't censor him because they thought, well, don't do that because we're going to need some of his money, and they're going to Mike Lee, right? Was it Mike Lee who's begging Mitt Romney for money?
Right now because he's running against an independent.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's begging Mitt Romney for an endorsement and some money too.
And so I think the polls
Romney's not responding.
The polls say within a 12.7 degree of accuracy that Mike Lee is not going to win.
Well, you think of it this way. Again, at a 4.5% margin of error, 4.47 with a 500, and that's with a 500 tally, 500 people sample size. Think of a lot of races. Many races are 52-48, and that's considered decisive. 52-48, but that would still be within the margin of error in these kinds of polls.
All right, so the pollers are just saying, "Don't blame me if we get it wrong,"
because it was within the margin of error.
Well, I don't even know what difference does it make. What they're polling, really?
That's right. That's true. That the poll.
It's certainly not going to change my vote on anything.
I don't see. I can't believe that really there are very many people who are yet undecided, or that any of what they're yakking about really is going to push anybody one way or another. I think.
No, yeah. I mean, even if I was undecided, and even if I did know what the poll was, it wouldn't be meaningless to me. I would still decide based on my voter pamphlet if that was the only thing I had. I do have a League of Women Voters pamphlet.
And if people who are too lazy to read the voter pamphlet or know anything about the candidates are probably just going to be really too lazy to actually fill out their ballot.
Yeah, probably. Or some people actually go and they vote for whoever's the top one. In this case, it's going to be a Congress or a senator and then they don't vote on anybody else. That's how all these sleazy judges get in.
Yeah. Well, then it's the let's see, what state was it that I heard that all of the all of the candidates, the Republican was listed first. Oh, that's in Georgia.
No,
They
there.
were
I
voting.
heard that multiple states had that.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's where because people tend to vote for the first choice if they don't know. And yeah,
Mhm.
the Republicans are in charge of elections there, so they can list them however they want to.
Right. I think that's what it was determined of who was the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
But we are at the end of our show. So
Goodness, time
I
flies.
know time flies when you are just rocking out with the hammer. But thanks everybody for dropping by today. And this has been Joyce the Hammer Nance. And the other one is
This is Paul Richardson. Thanking you for joining us.
thank you for watching Not Right. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Perfect.